This is a large toy. This is the biggest Transformer I own and have ever owned. My first proper Titan. Why did I pick Zarak? Well, because I personally don't feel the arc is worth the full price. The fact that I've seen it go down to 105 Canadian. I'm waiting for it to go back down there before I actually buy it. So this is going to be a bit awkward to film, so bear that in mind. My station where I actually film these videos is just big enough to hold this thing. I'm going to start with the Headmaster though, because it's my favorite part of the toy. I love deluxe head units like this. I don't know, I just find them to be a lot of fun. And this one is it's a ton of fun. It also looks really cool. The scar on his chest, the eye patch, the whole arm guard section just give off this really badass merc / pirate vibe that I always just vibe with. I like it. Oh, and no, none of the gold is bad. It's all fine. Everything's fine. I will talk about it a little bit later on, but the last big case of gold plastic syndrome was Stratosphere from 2009. With a similar silver problem on the Unite Warriors version of Motormaster. I will say the gold on the chest is kind of bare. I do wish there was more color on it, same with the black, but the look in general is still fire. These panels do get in the way of any outward bicep swivel, so that limitation can be a bit annoying sometimes, but as he gets left in head mode anyways, I don't super care that much. He feels very solid though. All the joints are pretty stable and posing, it just flows quite well. He has all your standard posing joints, but as I stated, the arms are a bit limited. I also wish the feet did some forward and back, but they do have ankle pivots, so that's pretty good. And the head is your standard Titan Master fare. I'm glad they're keeping this standard because Hasbro's being weird on what standards stay and go. Ramp connectors, blast effects, just keep it all, who cares? Transformation into head mode is just fold him up like your normal Headmaster but bigger with some interesting arm steps. Like pushing them into place is super satisfying. Then all you gotta do is plug them into the neck joint and bam, Black Zarak. Side note, the collar piece was separate on here and it's missing in my office. I'll find it, but I don't like the collar piece anyways because it limits the head articulation up, so I just take it off. This thing is so friggin' big. It can sit next to my dog and read a book. It's so big, it can theoretically cook. It's a very impressive toy. The thing feels solid and it also looks very solid, as it should. This thing costs friggin' 229 Canadian dollars. I will say I'm very underwhelmed with the paint job. If you look at other Titans, like especially older ones, they either had loads of color or sticker sheets. This one didn't come with sticker sheets and the default colors just feel very lacking to me. There is a lot of black with really nice sculpted details that just get lost because all of it's like that weird plasticky black. I'm hoping Toy Hacks puts out a set for this guy because I'd pick it up in a heartbeat. This guy really needs more color to me. And no, I'm not painting it myself. I'm too scared of ruining it. The bits of gold are nice, and I do like how the entire chest section is one big gold section. Helps break up that black. You can even open this to reveal a panel, and this is where I have my one big issue. Not with the toy, but with GameStop. So I ordered this from GameStop, and they shipped it in its box, in another box, with no padding or anything, and that other box was twice the size as Black Zarak's. So he was just shaking around in there. The box looked like it had been kicked too when it arrived, like the tape had been ripped and all that. The chest panel inside the box had opened a little bit because of that, and this plate popped off and was rattling around. And as you can see, because of all that, it snapped. That friggin' sucks. Yes, I contacted them. No, I wasn't able to get a replacement, so something else was worked out. But come on, that's not how you ship something, guys. You pack it with packing material. You don't put one layer of a sheet of bubble wrap and a box twice the size. That's not how that works. Back to the toy. I just really wish he had more paint. That's really my biggest complaint with the robot mode, because otherwise I think it's great. It's so goddamn big. Articulation's pretty good. He has a ton of joints you wouldn't have expected in the arms. There's a lot more than I thought there would be on this guy in general. Now listen to how good it sounds. Transformation into Scorpion mode is your pretty standard Scorponok fare. Fold the legs up, flip out the undersized tail, head gets a faceplate, claws rotate, etc. Scorpion mode is impressive. It's large and wide and takes up way too much space. Why did I buy this again? It's a cool Scorpion mode, but like, it's just the G1 one. I wish they would have taken some liberties with the design, like given it a longer tail or a slightly less boxy top section, but it's alright. You can store his massive stick in 3 places, and that sounds so wrong. This is the part I got stuck on though when I first sat down to write this. I don't know what else to say about the Scorpion mode. It doesn't do anything apart from sit there. You can't pose the tail in some wicked way. You can't make the legs look neat. Like, there aren't... Why aren't the legs on ball joints? Why are they not on ball joints? That would have been such an easy thing to do that wouldn't have cost more than the hinges they used. It's so weird that, again, the choices made on this figure are just so weird. I know upgrade kits, blah blah blah, but you shouldn't have to do that when it costs this much. Ball joints would have been fine. I know like the legs aren't supporting anything, so like it doesn't matter, but it would have been nice if you could display them a little bit more dynamically. On to the base mode, and again, it's very G1 toy in its transformation. I do like how the leg panels and cannons become extra panels for like the towers to hide the claws. I like that. You're left with this very lackluster base mode. Okay, so the base mode I have a lot of issue with. The lack of any play features, the lack of good ramp connectors, the omittance of fast track as a pack-in. So the reasons they did the fast track and gimmick things like weren't in there because of the cost. When doing Scorponok, the prices of making these toys had gone up significantly, and their main goal was to make it as big as Fortress Maximus. As such, they had to cut some things from the initial design, and I'm glad they were able to end up like releasing fast track and the gold ones separately. But I would have been totally okay personally with this guy being a tad shorter, just to come with those little extra claw and elevator things. And the ramps kind of stink. You have 2 connector points, and that's it. There should be one on the front here, but there just isn't. They don't do that. This is what I mean by when they're really iffy on their standardized gimmicks, because the ramp connectors are returning for the new Metroplex, but like, why are they on that? He turns into a construction vehicle, not a base. Or why doesn't this guy have them in a more obvious place, like on the front? There's this gold folding panel at the front. You could have clipped it on there. There's also a ton of space inside this thing to have like hollowed out legs to give you a place to put more figures, but they just didn't do that. The only place you have is this little torso section, and that's it. And there's no launching ramp for fast track on the center. That doesn't require any springs or whatever. They could have just put a little lever in there that you flip up to launch the panel, but no. Pain. And that's what really frustrates me about this toy. It looks great, don't get me wrong, and the robot mode, which is how I will display it, is awesome. But the other 2 modes leave me wanting more. Maybe it's because all the other Titans have such interesting play features like Metroplex's storage, Fort Max's storage, and its base mode, Trypticon eating things, and all of his little inner hallways. Omega has a really good base mode. The new Metroplex becomes a vehicle, so you have that along with the fully posable bucket arm to work with. But this one just feels like it's lacking any sort of fun play features to me. Like, it's a toy. At the end of the day, it's a toy. It should be fun to mess with, and obviously I don't find myself gravitating towards it to pick it up because it's massive. But even if I were so inclined, I probably wouldn't. I'd pick it up for 5 minutes and then put it back down. Yeah. It's still a good toy, but for me, I don't know if it's worth the full asking price. I got it for a very good deal because of gift cards. I paid about $45 for this thing. And if you find it on sale, absolutely get it. But it also comes down to, will we ever get a new Black Zarak soon? Probably not. So if you want a Black Zarak and don't want to risk getting the old one, then definitely go get this one before it's gone, because this will probably be the last time we see Black Zarak for a while. But if you already have Scorponok and you're like debating this, it's no different. It's literally no different. So I don't know if you think it's worth that extra money, because Generation Selects toys cost more money because they manufacture them in such a limited quantity, so they have to make up for the loss in revenue that way, so they cost more. But is it worth it? I don't think it's worth the full price. But again, if you find it on sale, knock yourself out. It's pretty good for that. Like, for $45, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But if I was paying the full price, I'd be very disappointed. But that's been my look at Transformers Legacy Generation Selects Black Zarak. That's a mouthful. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.